Hi, the introverted cynist here. Today, I am going to explain a 2012 American crime film titled Sushi Girl. Warning, spoilers ahead. Kick back and take care. The movie begins with a woman, Sushi Girl, getting ready for an event. Behind her, we see a man, Duke, smoking a cigar, slowly caressing her scar, and instructs her to hurry up. Duke is a gangster who is very fond of Japanese culture and cuisines. He decides to arrange a surprise party for his gang members in a Japanese theme. Later, she undresses and places herself on a table. The chef then prepares sushi and other Japanese dishes and meticulously places each piece on her body. After evaluating his work, he instructs the Sushi Girl to remember her training, not to speak and not to move a muscle during the meal, and leaves. In another development, we see a prisoner, Fish, being released from prison after being sentenced for 6 years. He gets picked up by a guy in a car, arranged by Duke. Hesitantly, he gets in. Later, Duke welcomes in Crow, who is an old friend, to the party. Crow becomes surprised seeing the Sushi Girl, even though he had no clue what the party was for in the first place. Just then, Max, who is a hothead, joins the party. He started throwing hissy fits at Crow, who has already had friction with Crow for a long time. Meanwhile, Francis, their next gang member, joins them as well. Francis now curiously asks as to why they were summoned. Duke then says that they are going to celebrate the arrival of their fifth companion, who has just been released from jail. Francis then covertly asks if the presence of the Sushi Girl would cause any problems. Duke then sternly assures him that he owns her and nothing will happen. The group now welcomes their fifth companion to the party and then make a toast. After getting seated, Duke now starts describing the feast in front of them. He says that they will be dining in Yakuza style. The outermost portions contain the standard plain Jane sashimi, but as you move inwards to the erogenous area, it is covered with the most popular poisonous blowfish called fugu. Fugu at its best numbs the lips and gives heart palpitations, making you feel like you have touched death and lived long enough to talk about it. But at its worst, could be fatal. And instructs them to start from the base to the top. The dish is actually a test of mettle in the Japanese culture. Fish becomes hostile and uneasy towards the whole idea. Max, now impatient, jumps from the seat and questions Fish about his money. It was then revealed that Fish was serving time for his part in a diamond heist that happened 6 years ago. He refused to give the authorities any information on his partners in crime, nor reveal to them the location of the stolen diamonds. So, in order to locate and divide the stolen diamonds, crime boss Duke arranged an authentic party for Fish along with the rest of the gang who were part of the heist. But, to their surprise, Fish reveals that he does not have the diamonds. After hearing this, Duke breaks his composure and calmly asks Fish again. Fish now furiously defends himself, saying that he kept his mouth shut all these years protecting them, and he again insists that he does not have it. They now slowly look at Duke. And he gives Crow a nod. Crow, now smiling, takes a case from his suit and places it on the table, making Fish fearful. Surprisingly, a van is parked outside in the rain, where we see cops recording the conversation happening inside about the location of the diamonds. Fish is now tied up to the chair. Duke now decides to take turns and torture Fish until he spills out the truth. Francis becomes soft and concerned on torturing Fish to get the truth. Max starts to punch and mangle Fish, whereas Crow uses a chopstick and hammer to puncture his knee. Fish now cries out in agony. He now tries to say something, but he wickedly mocks Crow's mother and his sexuality, which slowly aggravated him to knock Fish out with the hammer. The scene now shifts to the diamond heist that happened 6 years ago, where we see a van being parked next to a building. Inside the building, we see experts analyzing the authenticity of the diamonds, with security guards on the watch. After noticing a mysterious van outside, they start to examine it, where they are ambushed by Duke and his gang. They then barge in and use his guns to steal the bag of diamonds from them, wearing Japanese masks in a plumber uniform. Just then, Crow tries to wake Fish from the concussion and makes sure he is alive. Meanwhile, Duke observes Francis being disturbed from all the torture Fish has been receiving. Max now uses his sock with shards of glass to beat Fish left and right. Afterwards, Crow uses a fancy plier and makes him open his mouth. Just then, Francis assuredly says that he knows exactly what Duke is up to. Duke, after hearing this, says, "Is that what you told your friends outside?" indicating the cops, making Francis and Max alarm. Francis, now with a lump in his throat, storms off to the bathroom, pretending to be angry. Inside, he throws up and eventually pulls himself together by snorting and drugs. He then slowly unbuttons his shirt to reveal a wire inside, making the cops outside listen to the whole conversation. He then takes out a photo of his son, which brings him tears of joy. Afterwards, Crow, while pulling out Fish's teeth, gets a reply from him. Fish, now severely hurt, slowly starts to unravel. In a flashback, after the theft, the gang, while fleeing away, gets smashed into another car. The driver now quickly checks if they were okay, but Duke pulls out his gun and mercilessly shoots him. Fish now retrieves the bag of diamonds and flee the scene with the gang before getting caught by the cops. Max eventually loses control and begins to violently beat Fish, inquiring about his share of the money, which led to Fish's death. Max, Crow, and Duke commence a nasty feud about who was to blame for Fish's death. Francis returns from the restroom and chastises the gang. He starts accusing Duke of planning this party just to kill them all after learning the diamond's location. Max becomes dubious on Francis's theory, but Crow does not because of his friendship with Duke. Francis then says Duke was the one who pinned Fish in the first place and paid off the cops to retrieve the diamonds, all for himself. Since he didn't receive the diamonds, he waited 6 years for Fish's arrival so that he can kill all 4 of them and walk away with the diamonds without anyone suspecting him. Suddenly, Duke accuses Francis of being a police snitch, having a wire on him. Crow now demands Francis to unbutton his shirt to prove it. Francis now retaliates by slamming Duke and teasing Max for being Duke's dog and Crow for being Duke's puppet. Max eventually loses control and tackles Francis, ripping his shirt apart. Fortunately, there was no listening device on him because he disposed it in the bathroom. Despite this, Duke shoots Francis, saying that they were Francis's bargaining chips for a clean slate, and dismisses his theory. Max, now tired of this cat and mouse game, pulls out his gun at Duke, proving that he is not an obedient dog. Crow now pulls out his gun at Max, instructing him to lower his gun. Crow and Max gets into a verbal kerfuffle. One thing led to another, making both of them shoot at each other. Duke now shoots Max from behind and slowly approaches Crow. Crow, now asking for a helping hand, gets shot by Duke without any remorse. Duke, now unbalanced, seeing all his members dead, slowly approaches the Sushi Girl, who has remained immobile and mute throughout. He then points the gun at her head, who is trembling with fear. Feeling sympathetic, he lowers his gun and says that he is unfortunate of not finding his diamonds, but says that she will be his consolation prize. After licking her face, he takes a piece of fugu from her body and savors it. While unbuttoning his shirt, Duke starts to feel his hand shake involuntarily. Duke starts panting and quickly becomes paralyzed. She now stares at him and sits up while simultaneously informing him that the fugu was prepared with all the poisons intact on purpose. Duke becomes confused as to why he is being treated this way. She starts to unravel her story while getting hold of a hammer and a cigar cutter. She then places it on his ring finger and chops it off. It was then surprisingly revealed that she was present at the heist's aftermath, and it was her husband who was shot by Duke before stealing his wedding ring. She becomes devastated witnessing her husband being murdered. While escaping, Fish accidentally rips open the bag full of diamonds, spilling it on the ground without him noticing it. While mourning her husband's death, she accidentally discovers the diamonds. After getting the ring, she reveals that she utilized her newfound wealth to plan this night all these years and purposely bribed the chef to exact her revenge on the gang. She now gets hold of his gun and intimidates him in point blank. She then sadly says that the money may not bring back her dead husband, but doing this will feel so good. She then pulls the trigger, killing him. Furthermore, the cops outside recording the conversation has all been killed by Duke's driver. He now pours kerosene on the van to destroy all evidence. The Sushi Girl now steps outside and greets him, indicating that he has been working for her all along. She now gets inside the car, driven by the chef. He then asks for the destination, to which she says, home, and slowly drives off, concluding the movie. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and comment if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more videos.